Hi everyone, it's Den here. Welcome to the studio and welcome to the School of Light. Well, I've got a fun story for you. We're about to have a chat. I'm about to show you the most amazing collaboration with the most amazing mural artist, tattoo artist, Vinko. We made a mural under a bridge. Well, what an egg. He made a mural under a bridge across 3 days with the idea of collaborating with me to do a light painting. And I think it's a story worth telling because there is so much here to unpack. So what do we do? Well, we made this mural here. It is astonishing. It is so big, absolutely massive, and it is under a bridge in the middle of nowhere. And the idea came from the mind of Vinko. Who is this guy? Well, we met quite some time ago. We were both at the Wonder Walls Festival here in Port Adelaide, and I was wandering around making some video because I love the mural art, and we bumped into each other in front of one of the murals, and we realized that we knew each other online and we got on really well. And then what happened is we were both taking the tours of around Wonder Walls. So people would come down to the port and we would do these walking tours of the art. I kept suggesting to him I would love to come out and light paint one of his murals that he had painted and maybe do some video of him creating it. Anyway, he just comes to me and he says, I've got an idea. I've designed this thing, and he shows me a picture of the fortune teller. Long story short, he just comes at me and he says, let's get it on, Den. So basically, we picked a day that we were agreed we were going to meet under this bridge, and he across 2 days would create this artwork, and then on the last night, then I would do the light painting. So I'd create the ball of light in front of it, and I had some other ideas and bits and pieces. But it is wild how these things come together. Now, the big thing is that this thing was huge. And when I arrived, I got there, he had been there the day before and painted this wall with black paint. Now, I've done a bit of painting, and I know painting a big black wall is pretty wild. It was amazing watching this come together. He pulls out a VR headset, and he's used augmented reality to do. Now, I may completely mince this, so if you're a mural artist, or Vinko, if you're watching this, I'm sorry, mate. But if you, what they do is he's designed this thing, and then on the iPad, I think he traces like an outline, so he will know which outlines matter. So he traces it. And then when we got there, he stands there, he puts his headset on, looks at the wall. I think what happens is he marks the corners, pins the corners, and then he can walk right up to the wall and looking at it, looking through the headset, the outline that he's put on the iPad is on the wall, and he starts spraying. So he does this outline, creates it, you sort of step back and there it is. There's this sort of black wall with this outline on it. And then across 2 days, I got to watch this artwork come together. And he was sort of going through this process of up and down this bloody ladder. It was unbelievable. And blocking, he was calling it blocking. So he creates this kind of the big areas of paint. And then what happened over those 2 days is it just started to become more and more and more detailed. He's got the piece of art in his hand and he's constantly referring to it and then painting and painting. But because I'm standing back the whole time watching this come together, it just blew my mind, like totally. I learned a lot about what spray paint is, why you don't go down to Bunnings and buy spray paint to make these big murals. It's a very specialized type of paint. He had all these fancy nozzles and bits and his own creations to help make the paint thinner lines, thicker lines, spraying out. There's all these, again, if you're a mural artist, you're probably watching this absolutely pissing yourself, but there's all these different sort of amazing shapes that come out of the can to create different effects and stuff. And of course there were, when he was doing the lashes or the fine stuff, these little lines and then bigger lines. So yeah, we powered through the second day, and it was really interesting, listening to Vinko talk about how he struggles to find the point to stop. It's like, okay, you just keep putting the detail and the detail and stuff. And so I thought it was really beautiful watching him deciding at what point he felt the work was complete, like ready to go. He kind of made that call. It's done, and we both got to stand back and really admire this piece of art, which is what it was. I think this is relevant to all art. By the nature of it, it's 2D, right? So if you think of a print on the wall or a mural or any of these things, they're two-dimensional by the nature of them. When you spend 2 days under a bridge with someone that you fundamentally don't know, you get to know each other pretty well. You learn about each other. You're exploring each other's past, your present, your ideas, your philosophies, your feelings about things. You talk about all sorts of stuff. And so what happens for me personally is when I get to know an artist or I get to know about an artist or their why or their process, the art starts to become three-dimensional. It starts to have this depth. It has a personality that you have sort of connected with the artist. And an interesting thing is that this guy is also an astonishingly talented tattoo artist. Totally talented across the board. When you start to see his mural work and his tattoo work, they all sort of merge together, and it must be amazing for him working at that micro scale of a tiny little tattoo and then up on these giant walls. So anyway, we finished the mural and it was time for some light painting, and boom, it was on, man. I had a blast. What I did is there was a bit of natural light, but then what I did is I had 2 of the Harlow Avant Max X lights, and I had them on either side, and I had them lighting the wall. The nice thing about these and why they were so perfect on this night is they have these barn doors. And what that means is that you can really shape the light that is hitting the wall. So I had the 2 of those off to the side lighting the wall. And then it was on, man. I was making orb after orb after orb. And of course doing my blends so that you can see this now. Then I got Vinko on a blade and got him in there, and like everyone who does this sort of light painting for the first time, he was in there. But there was this kind of natural flow. It seemed to be like instantly into the flow, which was, again, a beautiful thing to watch. Him coming up with this idea of having a mural with a light painting in front of it and then actually doing it. Then what did I do? I did some blading. I wanted to create this kind of electrified light inside the crystal ball, so we did that. The glow on her hands was quite warm, and I could see that. So I was using ball of light that was quite warm and glowy to sort of match that feeling. But the challenge was on that night is I was so tired. It was like an hour and a half drive either way, and I was already pretty exhausted. So I got as much done as I could. I think I left at about 2 a.m. Finished. I was just wrecked. So I had to pack up all the gear and left. And it was really hard leaving her behind. Walking away from her, I was like, oh man, what happens if someone comes and marks her, or I didn't get the images right? But here's what happened is the chap from the council sent me a couple of photos to show me that they were still there. Now a thing happened. I got back here and I realized that a bunch of the really important video that I was shooting was all underexposed, and I was a bit disappointed by that. So I went back for a second night. Some friends of mine that live down the road actually came and stopped by, and I did a portrait of them down there. But yeah, but it was different, and I'll tell you why. The moon was out, so it had been a few days, and the moon was really bright. So the moon came up off to the side, so I was getting this crazy fill light coming through because there was very little cloud. So that changed the feeling of it, and of course, then I got that blue sky behind. So I was doing some ultra wide shots with like blue sky from the moon and some light painting. Now here's the thing. And this is what blows me away about this gentleman. He felt like, so he put both our names. He put Vinko and Denis Smith on the day, but he felt like it was a bit sort of too taggy. So he made a stencil and went back and re-put our names up there with a stencil so it looked slicker. And I thought that was just, little things like that, just remarkable. Yeah, it made me feel really amazing. So the second visit was pretty cool. There's also an old rail bridge next door, and I thought the whole time I was looking at it, it'd be amazing to do a ball of light up there. So before I went home, I went over there and I did a ball of light up on this rail bridge. But what a project, what an idea. What an idea, and what a beautiful collaboration. As often as I can, I try and collaborate across genres. If I can find someone that is, recently I did the egg. So Kyrie came home with this Easter egg that was just absolutely stunning. A woman she works with, she paints these Easter eggs, and she brought it home this Easter and was like, "Here's an Easter egg." I was like, "Whoa, no way! I need to light paint that." I learned a lot. I learned heaps about mural art. I learned heaps about VR and AR. I learned what it takes to create stuff using paint. I learned a lot about this gentleman, Vinko. I learned a lot about this guy. We got on very well, and that was quite special. Yeah, we had so much fun, man. It was great. I wonder if she's still there. Esmeralda, her name is. But thank you, mate. What an absolute joy watching you work, watching you and your flow, the way that paint went onto that wall and came out of those cans, and the care and the love. So there you go. What a magical moment. I really enjoyed myself, as you can tell. Massive thanks to Vinko. Thank you, my friend, for your openness, your honesty, for connecting with me so beautifully through that time. Thanks to the Murray Bridge Council for not being dicks, for just being super kind to us. Ditton King is the paint provider that worked with us through Vinko. Thank you, guys. I always get to do these cool things, which is so exciting. Yeah, I hope I showed you enough of the work being created. If not, here's some more now. And I look forward to our next wild collaboration, dude. It's going to be amazing. I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you very much. Peace.